Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Violet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Violet Rayne. I'm so excited today. I have Valorie here. Valorie loves unicorns, by the way. I'm just going to say that before I even get started. I love that she loves unicorns. Valorie is a naturally gifted psychic medium who has a unique talent for delivering messages from spirit with a sarcastic and witty twist. She has a way of cutting through the noise and getting straight to the heart of the matter. I remember one day I sat down with a reading and she goes, "Why are you sitting here? You could do this." I love that. I still remember that to this day. Why are you here? Anyways, Valorie delights in helping others discover their purpose and walk confidently on their spiritual path. She assists individuals with shifts to new levels by using tools such as tarot, psychic channeled message, interstellar light codes, and energy work. And I love Valorie. Can you tell? Valorie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vialet. I love you too. I'm so glad to be here.
And I love her hair today. Don't you love all the colors in her hair? Oh my gosh. I think that's amazing. Now, Valorie doesn't live in Colorado. Where do you live at?
Kansas City area, Shawnee, Kansas, to be specific.
Yeah. So she travels into Denver. So I actually get to see her in person every once in a while. I get so excited when she's in town. So share with us, have you always had this gift? Is it something that came on? Share a little bit of your story.
Sure. So, as far as the psychic part of my story, have I always had this gift? Yes, but yes, I do believe I've always had psychic abilities. And in hindsight, I can see different parts and portions in my life where they were definitely full on psychic moments. I just wasn't cataloging them as that and thinking of them that way. I believe that everybody's a psychic, but I also believe that everybody's a psychic in the same way that everybody's a singer, everybody's an artist. It's just a skill. So if we let that skill lie dormant and we never develop it, you're probably not going to have much of a psychic life. But for me, once I noticed that that was there and I decided that's something I really want to develop, then that's when it really started flourishing for me.
Yeah, it's about practice. You know,
Absolutely.
one of the things is when and like Valorie, I feel like I've had it all my life because there's different points in my life where things happened and I knew, or I had a gut feeling, and all these things you just don't categorize it or put it in that perspective. But when life got really difficult for me and I was looking for ways to manage stress in my life, I really turned to this stuff and studied at a spiritualist camp, and they really do pound into you, practice, because it is a muscle that if you don't work it, you don't develop it. So I love that, and I love that you work with gifts of spirit. So share with us your definition or your perspective. What does psychic mean to you?
I love this because I've just come into this new, clearer way of explaining it. For me, we have the physical and we have the non physical. We have our senses here in the physical that we're all familiar with: taste, touch, feeling, seeing, all of those things. And psychic abilities, to me, if I was to categorize all of the psychic abilities, is the extension of my senses into the non physical. So I take my sight from the physical, what I can literally see, and when I extend that ability, that skill into the non-physical, now I've got clairvoyance. Now I can see things with my third eye. And the same with clairaudience and all of the clairs. So I feel like, in a nutshell, psychic ability is the ability to bridge that gap between physical and non-physical and be able to sense and perceive things in the non-physical.
It's really about being aware because
Mm-hmm.
our psychic senses can be subtle. They're different than our true senses. And so if you're expecting If you're expecting that spirit's going to sit down at the table with you across from you while you drink tea and have a conversation with you, and you're going to see them with your physical eyes like you see yourself, and you're going to have this conversation go back and forth, it doesn't work that way.
Not usually. And if it does work that way for you, I want to know what you're doing, because
Right? I want you to share with me how that's happening, because it doesn't work the same way. So you have to be really aware of what's going on around you. I think awareness is critical. And the second thing that I think is really critical is you have to acknowledge it. You have to either acknowledge it in your mind or out loud so that spirit knows, hey, she got it. Hey, she heard me. Hey, she felt that. Hey, because that builds the relationship for them to better communicate with you. Because if you go on and just keep just moving through life and you don't say anything about seeing or hearing or feeling or knowing these things, spirit thinks they're not connecting with you. Think about it. If you think about the people when you went to school, there had to be someone at school that you really wanted to have a relationship with, and they didn't see you. They didn't ever hear you, and you really wanted that. And then all of a sudden, one day they stop and talk to you, and how excited you get because they're communicating. It's the same thing I feel like with spirit. It's like, oh, they hear us. Let's keep giving them information, right? I love that. I
I
love that
love that.
piece of it.
It's when you were saying that, it reminds me, I think the new kids, I think they call it being left on read. You know, when you get a text message and you can see that they read that text message, but then you get no reply, and that like really frustrates them. I think that's the same thing with spirit. Like if they're communicating with us and we're seeing it, but we're not acknowledging it and we're not replying, that's exactly what you described, Violet.
It is. And it's kind of something that we don't think about, but it's really true. It's like they're like get really excited when we do that. So, Valorie, what's the difference between being psychic and mediumship?
Oh, I get that question all the time. I First of all, easy answer. What's the difference is there is no clear-cut difference because everybody understands those terms differently. If I was to explain it in my term, the difference between psychic and mediumship to me is mediumship is a subset of being psychic. To me, psychic is the umbrella that talks about all different areas of how we receive things. And then mediumship is a specific subset of working with those who have crossed over, those who used to be physical and who are now non-physical.
Yeah, I can see that. We get wrapped up in what's the difference between intuition and channeling? What's the
Mm-hmm.
difference between psychic and medium? I mean, they're
And
terms,
psychic and
right?
channeling, yeah.
And
Yep.
everybody has their different perspective. And here's the reality. All teachers, let me share this with you, have a different perspective. Take
Yep.
the perspective that makes sense to you and leave the rest. If you have a teacher that says my way is the only way and it's the only way to do this, you don't
Run.
have a good teacher, because we all have different perspectives, different preferences, different styles, different ways. It's why people are different. I'm not going to be a teacher for everyone, but there are certain people that are going to resonate with the way I teach and deliver information, and how I look at it. And I never say this is the only way. I love when people ask me, was that the only way? I would never say that, because as soon as I say that, spirit's going to go, really?
Absolutely, yes. Well, I now I'm curious, what is the difference between psychic and mediumship for you?
Well, to me, psychic is really pulling and it's filtering through your own information, just like a Akashic is a little bit more global. I feel like that filter's a little different. Mediumships, when you're communicating either with guides, loved ones, someone non physical in the spirit, whereas channeling or psychic is where you're pulling information through your higher self or through yourself, or it's different for everybody. I was always taught, and believe it or not, I've been taught by many different mediums that have many different perspectives in my lifetime, and they always said everybody's psychic, but not everybody is a medium. Not everyone can connect to the other side.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
I think there's a little bit of truth in that. You have to be really open to want to do that, number one, and how deep into that you want to go, because there's lots of different levels. I mean, I just came back from a conference which was all mediumship. Um, you know,
Ooh, that sounds fun.
trance mediumship and physical mediumship, and there's all different kinds of mediumship, and I've seen spirit and talked to the non-physical my entire life. So you have to be kind of open to how that comes in, and so I've always kind of said I was a medium, but I never, if you go look on the website right now, you're not going to see mediumship offerings because they've never really offered it. It comes through if it does and if it doesn't. But I think I'm getting ready to do that. So look out, world.
Yay. Yeah. And I totally agree with that. It does depend on what you're open to. Because I think about like predictive psychics who can see the future. And I don't know why I did that in air quotes, because that's not something I do routinely. Has it come through once or twice? Yes, but that's definitely not my forte. And it's because I specifically am not open to that. I don't want to predict someone's future because I want them to create their future. I don't want to be the person that tells them XYZ is going to happen and then it becomes some self fulfilling prophecy. So for me, because I've chosen that, spirit is like, okay, we're not going to work with you that way. So yeah, I totally believe that not all psychics are mediums, but they can be if they want to be. So I know for myself, certain levels of abilities, I'm just like, I don't want to do that. And so it doesn't come to me.
Well, I also think you need to consider ethics and professionalism if you do this work. And here's what I mean by that. Because she said something that triggered that thought for me to talk about that. As a reader or a medium, I have to be careful in what I say because I'm planting seeds. There are people that will come and do a reading with me that believe that's the gospel,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're the creator of your own world. Spirit's never, in my mind, this is my belief system, Spirit's never going to say, Susie, you need to take job A.
Right.
Because there's no wrong choice here, folks. Spirit believes you can't make a wrong choice. It's just an
Yes,
experience, right? And it is not my job to tell you which one to do. If you go to a reader and they tell you to break up with your boyfriend or to get a divorce or any of that, you've gone to the wrong person, because Spirit is never, ever going to say that. Now, they might come to you and say, there are better options. There's some things to consider and look at. How does this relationship make you feel? How are you supported in this relationship? They're going to give you questions for you to think about and work through your own choice. But it's not my job to tell you what to do. It's not my job to suggest, because I know I'm planting seeds when I do that. But I'm just kind of there to support you. Have you thought about this? Usually Spirit comes through and says, ask them these questions because they want you to
yeah,
think about it, right?
yeah,
There's no bad choice. We think there's a bad choice. There's not a bad choice. Let's say you make a choice and you get into that experience and you go, this is icky. We'll make another choice.
exactly.
Get out of it.
And
Right?
you said not as a I made a mistake or I made a bad choice, but oh, that was an experience. I prefer a different experience, so that you grow from that instead of, you know, hurt yourself or talk bad to yourself because of it.
Well, I love my daughter because when the kids do something and they're like, she goes, and what did we learn?
Yep. Yep,
What did
exactly.
we learn?
I
Because,
feel like Spirit has that on repeat. They just put the record on. And Valorie, what did you learn today?
right? Because that's what this is. Now, if you get stuck in those cycles, how many people listening know a best friend, a coworker, wherever you want, whatever type of person that continues to get in the same relationship over and over again? It's the same energy, it's the same challenges, because they haven't stopped and said, what did I learn? What do I not want? What do I want going forward? Where am I going to shift and change? Because the only person you can change is yourself. And it's about looking at yourself and seeing what you can change. So, we're here to support and help, but I will never tell you what to do.
Agreed.
Right? So it's really important to think about that.
Yeah.
So, what is the meaning of life?
What is the meaning of life? I love this opportunity. And this is something I borrowed from another great teacher. The meaning of life is meaningless. I believe that we came here to experience life and to give meaning to it, to define it on our own terms, to create it on our own terms, that we didn't come in with some pre-concept box that we have to, this is life, here's the definition, and now everything you do has to fit into that box. I think it's the complete opposite. I think there is no box, and we get to define life on a moment by moment, experience by experience basis. And so when I think of it in terms of that, it frees up so much and it removes so much of what I've been taught about what I'm supposed to be doing. And it allows me to decide, where is my joy? What do I want to experience? So life is meaningless and it's up to us to give meaning to it.
I love that. I love that. I know you have a big event coming up. She's going to do some stand-up comedy. I'm kind of curious. Oh,
I'm curious too. I hope I'm funny.
so share with us a little bit about that and then what you offer and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So the event is happening on July 28th in Lafayette, Colorado, and it's called Valorie Explains Life, the Universe, and Everything. So we'll have a portion of me for the first time ever doing what I consider stand-up comedy. Comedic inspiration is what I'm calling it. It's me talking a little bit about my journey and my path and being funny while I do it. And then we will be talking a little bit more seriously about life, the universe, and everything, which is messages that I've received from Spirit over the years as I've walked along my spiritual journey that I want to share. And then the afternoon portion is going to be a full 2 hours of me doing gallery readings, and that's going to be super fun. So it's a full day event, and I'm super excited to bring that to the world.
I love that. I love that. Share with us also, Valorie, some other things that if somebody here listening wanted to connect and work with you, what are some of the things that you do?
Absolutely. So I always offer one-on-one in-person readings. That's always going to be something I offer. And it happens online over Zoom. So no matter where you are, you can book a one-on-one reading with me. But some other things that I'm excited about, I'm also really leaning into being more of a mentor or a facilitator. So I'm developing more courses. So for a very long time in my business, I've just done events, just one-off events. And now I'm expanding that and sitting with people a little bit longer over courses. So I've got a psychic development course coming up in August. And I've also got something I call Queen Energy, which will be my second time doing that, where we really discover what gifts and skills the tarot queens can give to us and how we can embody and integrate those energies to help us step forward on our path. So Queen Energy and Psychic Development are both coming in August, and I'm really excited about those.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I'm so excited. I always love hanging out with Valorie and she comes to Denver periodically, at least once a year. I think she's doing it more often now. How many
Yeah.
times have you been here this year?
This year, I've been there only once, but I'll be again at least 3 more times that I know of, including July. So it's worked out to about 4 times per year.
I love that. I love that. So we get to see her. I always get excited being able to see her. Thank you for taking the time today to chat with us. You know, I love you. She's one of my
I love you
favorite
too.
people, right? So we had to move things around because we're trying to really promote her event. So if you are in Denver in July of 2024, you don't want to miss this event. It's going to be a really fun day to spend with Valorie and other like-minded people and have some really fun, not intense stuff, but just learning and enjoying ourselves. So I love that. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I love you so much. I love being on this show. Thank you so much, Violet.
Aw.
And thank you for all you do.
Oh, I appreciate that. Those that are listening, thanks for watching. I hope you'll comment, like, and follow us on your favorite channels. And I hope you have a sacred and magical week and I get to see you really soon.